Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine a peaceful late-night scene on a quiet beach in Bournemouth. You know, maybe lit by a blood moon.
Right.
Two friends just relaxing by a fire, enjoying the evening. And then suddenly, that calm is absolutely shattered by a brutal random attack.
Yeah, just terrific.
And the immediate massive challenge for the police. It's this violent crime scene with, well, virtually no forensic evidence left behind. How on earth do you find a killer who seems to have just vanished into the night without, like, a trace?
It sounds like the investigator's worst nightmare, really. A crime specifically designed, it feel like, to leave no traditional breadcrumbs behind.
Exactly. So for this deep dive, we're pulling from quite a stack of sources. We've got BBC reports covering the investigation, the trial outcome, a Daily Mail article with courtroom specifics, a YouTube transcript adding timeline details and some background, plus reporting from the Standard and the Sun as well.
A good range, then.
Our mission today is to piece together the chilling narrative of that night, understand the incredibly difficult police work involved.
Yeah. And really dig into the mind and actions of the perpetrator. We're going to see how investigators built an undeniable case using a completely different kind of evidence. It highlights how modern police work has to adapt.
It's a case that really underscores how crucial things like digital footprints and meticulous visual tracking have become when DNA evidence just isn't there.
Right.
That's a key insight we'll definitely explore, I think.
Absolutely. We'll look at the victim stories, the huge hurdles the police faced, the, well, surprising profile of the killer, and those crucial non-DNA clues that ultimately led the police right to his door.
Okay, let's get into it.
Let's start on Chine Beach that night, May 24th, 2024, just before midnight. Amy Gray, 34, and Leanne Miles, 38, were simply sitting by a fire on the sand.
Yeah, sources describe it as a pretty quiet spot, sort of tucked away slightly.
And Amy Gray was clearly someone special. A personal trainer, head coach for a local ladies football team, the Dorset Futsal. Right. Her mother remembered her as amazing, funny, kind, energetic, a huge smile, a loud laugh, married with a young daughter, too.
Terrible loss. And Leanne Miles was her friend, just having a quiet night out together.
And then, just out of nowhere, this hooded man appeared. He'd reportedly been seen sort of lurking on the promenade before stepping down onto the sand.
Approaching them without a sound, apparently.
What happened next was just horrific. He repeatedly stabbed both women. Leanne Miles suffered 20 knife wounds, mostly to her back.
20? Wow.
But incredibly, despite her severe injuries, a collapsed lung, a punctured liver, she actually managed to call 999 and survived.
Incredible presence of mind. And sources mention her attempting to fight him off or divert him, even while injured.
Yeah, which probably enabled her to make that critical call for help.
And Amy reportedly yelled at the attacker to back off, trying to save her friend, it seems.
A desperate act.
Yeah.
Tragically, Amy suffered 10 knife wounds, including one to the heart, and she died right there at the scene.
Just a truly brutal and utterly unprovoked act of violence on two innocent people.
Absolutely senseless.
So when the investigation began, Det In's Mark Jenkins, he was the lead investigator on the case, described it as the most challenging he'd ever faced.
I can imagine.
Crime scene investigators were meticulous, searching every inch of the scene, but they found almost nothing.
And that's the immediate problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
The attacker was incredibly careful, or maybe just lucky, to leave no forensic evidence.
Right.
No fingerprints, and crucially, no DNA. The clothing he wore, reportedly a black jacket with a gray stripe, a bum bag with a reflective logo, those were never recovered.
Never found that.
Nor was the weapon or any footwear left behind. It really was like he wanted to just erase his presence completely.
So if traditional forensics hit a dead end, how did the police even start to build a case? Where do you go from there?
Well, they turned to the digital realm, basically. Yeah. Specifically CCTV. Investigators reviewed hours and hours of footage from the promenade, from hotels, shops, council cameras, anywhere they could possibly get it from.
Okay.
The footage of the attack itself was quite distant, grainy, not great quality, but it did show the attacker sprinting away towards the pier.
Right, heading away.
And then heading up a zigzag path that climbs the cliff face to an area called West Hill Garden.
And that zigzag path was described as a pinch point. What exactly did that mean for the investigation?
Well, it was crucial because it was pretty much the only way up from that specific spot on the beach. But frustratingly for them, there were no cameras on the path itself.
Ah, a blind spot.
Exactly. So they knew the route he likely took, but couldn't actually see him on it.
Okay, but even the grainy footage from the promenade gave them those key visual clues you mentioned earlier.
Yes, the distinctive jacket with the gray stripe, the bum bag with that reflective logo, and a strap hanging down on his left side.
Those details must have been gold.
They became absolutely critical. And here's where Deathstroke Sarah Gedge, whose team was just poring over all this footage, had what she called the eureka moment. They spotted a man matching that exact description in daylight footage from earlier that morning, the morning of the murder, on West Hill Road, near the gardens.
Ah, seeing him clearly before the attack.
Exactly. This was the breakthrough. Seeing him clearly allowed them to start tracing his movements, not just after the attack, but crucially, before.
Okay.
This is key insight number one, really. Even in a low-tech escape attempt, a killer's prior movements can totally betray them because of just how much surveillance there is now.
So following this digital trail, they tracked him into a nearby convenience store. And this is where a seemingly simple act became his undoing.
He paid using his own bank card.
His own card.
Precisely. That single transaction, time-stamped and linked directly to the man from the CCTV, provided the police with his name and address, Nasen Saadi.
Incredible.
That's key insight number two right there.
Yeah.
In our modern world, financial transactions are another really powerful, almost unavoidable form of digital evidence.
Just 4 days after that horrific attack, on May 28th, Saadi, who was only 20 years old at the time, was traced to his aunt's house in Croydon, South London.
And arrested.
Arrested. So who was this young man? Nasen Saadi.
Well, he was originally from Purley, South London. He was born in Thailand, actually, moved to the UK when he was about 4.
Okay.
His parents ran a fruit import business, but he wasn't living with them. He was living with his grandfather and aunt after reportedly having some issues with his parents, particularly concerning weapons, it seems.
Right, that weapons detail came up. What about his personality?
Sources describe him as quiet and serious, reportedly struggles with rejection, wasn't very social, and sort of turned to the internet for connection, you know.
Common enough these days, I suppose, but...
He dropped out of a physical education course, but had then enrolled in criminology and criminal psychology at the University of Greenwich in the autumn of 2023.
Criminology. Okay.
And it's his activity leading up to the crime that really paints a chilling picture and gives us key insights into his mindset and planning.
I can only imagine his online activity became a real treasure trove for the investigators, didn't it?
Absolutely. He used usernames like Niskills and Ninja Killer.
Right.
Investigators found he had this deep fascination with true crime forums, criminal behavior, specific cases like Brianna Gay, Millie Dowler, the Setagaya family murders in Japan.
But it wasn't just interest in the crimes themselves, was it?
No, and this is what's particularly disturbing and a major insight here.
Mm.
He wasn't just interested in the crimes. He was fixated on how those criminals were caught.
Wow. That's not just curiosity. That sounds like research, like chilling research for a plan.
It certainly looks that way. The specific searches he made online were incredibly revealing. Things like, how sharp are kitchen knives?
Oh, wow.
Why is it harder for a criminal to be caught if he does it in another town? What hotels don't have CCTV in UK? Bournemouth CCTV, Bournemouth Pier CCTV.
He's specifically looking at the location.
Exactly. Deadliest knife, swords or daggers over knives, busiest beaches, Bournemouth Beach open at night.
He's really drilling down.
Sand or pebbles, easiest to run on. How long does surveillance footage last? How to move without being seen by camera. Just incredibly specific planning.
That's terrifying detail.
And after the attack, he even searched Bournemouth Beach and opened news reports about the stabbing. Key insight number 3. A killer's digital search history can literally map out their entire operational plan, even their attempt to evade capture afterwards.
And he also made online purchases related to all this.
Yes, he bought multiple knives from websites. Police later found 6 blades.
6.
And they found a whole array of items at his home, the aunt's house, and his parents' house. Knives, latex gloves, a balaclava, a torch, even chilies and wet wipes, oddly.
Jewels and wet wipes. Strange.
Plus, a machete and self-defense spray. And sources mention his parents had previously confiscated knives and even an axe from him before.
So there was a history there. Despite all this mounting evidence, though, he still refused to cooperate fully.
Right. He even pleaded guilty later to the specific offense of not giving police his phone password, which obviously limited their access to some information.
But perhaps one of the most incredible and frankly bizarre details comes from his time at university, in those criminology classes.
Yeah, this is wild. He would ask lecturers questions completely unrelated to the actual course material.
Hmm.
He was focusing on things like self-defense justifications for murder,
Seriously?
DNA evidence, forensic analysis, investigative loopholes, how different police forces operate, how to avoid being traced.
I saw that one lecturer, Dr. Lisa Maria Rice, famously asked him straight out, "You're not planning a murder, are you?"
Can you imagine? And another officer involved in a separate discussion, Pavandeep Singh Aneja, noted similar questions from Saadi about getting away with murder.
Chilling. That's key insight number 4 right there. Sometimes the preparation for crime is hidden in plain sight, even in like an academic setting. It's unbelievable.
He also reportedly made some deeply troubling statements in seminars, expressing misogynistic views, saying women were weaker than men, shouldn't work in certain jobs.
Which perhaps provides some context for his choice of victims, attacking 2 women.
He was certainly presented that way by the prosecution.
And the sources reveal he wasn't just researching online, he made physical reconnaissance trips to Bournemouth before the attack.
Exactly. He traveled down from Croydon, booked a Travelodge starting May 21st, then actually moved closer to the scene to the Silver Howe Hotel on May 23rd.
Closer to Durley Chine.
Right. And CCTV showed him carrying out what the police called reconnaissance trips along the seafront and in the area, often at night, observing, calculating, mapping out CCTV locations.
So he's physically scouting the location, figuring out escape routes, camera blind spots.
Precisely. Mapping out routes, checking CCTV coverage. And the sources show his preparation wasn't just physical. 2 days before the attack, May 22nd, he was also kind of mentally priming himself, maybe?
How so?
He watched The Strangers Chapter 1. It's a horror movie where the main characters are stabbed.
Oh, right.
The prosecution suggested he was perhaps seeking inspiration, maybe refining his method in his mind.
Bringing all this together then, based on the sources in the prosecution's case, what was driving him? What was the suggested motive for such a random, brutal attack like this?
Well, the prosecution painted a really chilling picture.
Yeah.
They suggested his motive was essentially wanting to know what it felt like to take a life.
Just curiosity?
And maybe to make women feel afraid, to feel powerful, feel interesting himself. Perhaps he couldn't bear seeing happy social interaction, like the 2 friends enjoying themselves, and decided to just lash out, to hurt, to butcher, as the prosecutor put it.
And the victims were chosen entirely at random. It wasn't personal against them specifically.
No, seems completely random, just wrong place, wrong time.
And his method seems so deliberately calculated for stealth and anonymity.
Yes. Approached quietly, stealthily. Attacked suddenly with a knife. Left them there to bleed. His escape was also very deliberate. Walked away calmly, got rid of the weapon somewhere, changed and discarded his clothes and shoes,
Got rid of all the evidence.
and then traveled home by train the next morning, just as if nothing had happened.
And there's that profoundly disturbing detail about his apparent desire for notoriety. Sources mention him reportedly touching himself in his prison cell when told about the amount of press attention the case was getting.
Yeah, that's deeply unsettling. The prosecutor suggested he wanted to be the star from a true crime episode.
Crim. Key insight number 5 then. For some offenders, the crime isn't just about the act itself, but the attention and the perceived power it brings afterwards.
It certainly seems that way here. During his police interview, Saadi denied any involvement whatsoever, completely denied it.
What was his explanation?
He claimed it was mistaken identity. Said he might have blacked out or even been sleepwalking after checking out of his hotel. Claimed his next memory was being home on May 25th.
A blackout? Sleepwalking? Seems unlikely given the planning.
Highly unlikely.
Mm-hmm.
He flat out denied being the man in the CCTV footage and even told the police they had weak evidence and were just under pressure to find someone, anyone.
Wow, bold.
He acknowledged his interest in true crime and psychology, but his demeanor throughout was consistently described as cold, detached, showing absolutely no remorse.
But the case wasn't just built on the digital evidence and Saadi's strange background and behavior. There was a crucial key witness, wasn't there? Seemingly in the right place at the right time, despite the darkness.
That's right. Mick Priddle, a 79-year-old amateur photographer. He was up on the cliff near that zigzag path.
Where the attacker escaped.
Exactly. He was taking pictures of the blood moon that night when he heard screams coming from the beach below.
Okay.
Days later, he saw the CCTV images of the suspect released in the newspaper and instantly recognized the man from the zigzag path where he'd seen him that night.
And he got a good look at him, even though it was dark.
Apparently so. He described seeing a menacing man wearing that distinctive coat with the stripe And crucially, he said he got a very good view of his face under a street lamp as the man went past him.
Wow, that's fortunate.
He was 100% sure it was Saadi when he later identified him from a photo lineup. He even stated the man looked evil.
Drawn words.
His testimony, really, a single eyewitness placing Saadi right near the scene at the critical time, heading away from the beach, that was absolutely vital, especially given the total lack of forensic evidence linking Saadi directly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's key insight number 6. Traditional eyewitness testimony can still be the absolute cornerstone of a case, even in this digital age with all the tech.
So the trial took place at Winchester Crown Court in December 2024. Saadi denied murder and attempted murder.
And he chose not to give evidence in his own defense.
Which is his right, of course. The defense argued it was a case of mistaken identity, calling Saadi basically an innocent stooge.
But the prosecution then laid out all the overwhelming evidence they'd gathered. The meticulous CCTV tracing his movements before and after. His extensive digital footprint showing all that research and the knife purchases. Mick Prittle's very certain eyewitness testimony.
Right, the photographer.
His bizarre questions in university lectures, all the items found at his home, his reported misogynistic views, and the clear evidence of his reconnaissance trips and even watching that specific horror film just before.
A mountain of circumstantial evidence.
Exactly. They highlighted how all of his actions demonstrated extensive, chilling planning, despite the complete absence of DNA actually at the scene.
Before sentencing, I understand a psychiatric report was ordered. What did that reveal about him?
Well, it noted traits associated with autism spectrum disorder, ASD, although no formal diagnosis was actually made. It highlighted his obsession with violence, a strong sense of grievance, and a desire for power.
And the rejection aspect.
Yeah, the report noted that feelings of being humiliated or embarrassed by rejection from girls had reportedly led to this suppressed rage towards society in general, and women specifically.
Okay, so on December 18th, 2024, after hearing all that evidence, the jury found him guilty.
Guilty of both murder and attempted murder.
The sentencing took place more recently, March 28th, 2025.
That's right. Nasen Saadi was jailed for life with a minimum term of 39 years. He also got a concurrent sentence, 21 months, for failing to give police his phone PIN code.
So that brought his total minimum term to 39 years and 64 days. A long time.
A very long time.
The judge, Mrs. Justice Cutts, was apparently very clear in her remarks during sentencing.
She was. She stated Saadi should have pleaded guilty and that his refusal showed a complete lack of remorse and, again, that desire for notoriety. She completely rejected his claim of having a blackout, confirming the court believed he had planned to kill and went to Bournemouth specifically to carry it out. She described him as an extremely dangerous young man who was likely to remain a significant threat for a long time.
The impact on the victims and their families is just immense and ongoing, obviously. Amy's wife, Sian Gray, paid a really moving tribute, thanking everyone involved in securing the conviction.
Yeah, she said Amy would never be forgotten, that she touched countless lives and her strength lives on.
Amy's mother, Sharon, described her as this amazing, funny, kind, energetic soul whose laughter filled any room, said it's like the lights have just been dimmed since she was taken. Heartbreaking.
Truly heartbreaking. And Leanne Miles, who survived despite those horrific injuries, has been praised for her incredible strength throughout.
Yeah.
Interestingly, she actually declined to give a victim impact statement in court. Sources reported this was likely a deliberate choice to avoid giving Saadi any insight into her thoughts or emotions.
Wow, that's a quiet but really powerful act of reclaiming some control, isn't it?
Absolutely. Denying him that satisfaction, perhaps.
The community in Bournemouth was understandably deeply shaken by this random violence on their doorstep, but they also came together.
Yeah, the beach became a place for tributes, lots of flowers, candles, remembering Amy.
And what about Saadi now? Any updates?
Well, sources note that he has reportedly begun acknowledging guilt since his conviction, but, questions about his capacity for genuine change obviously remain.
Of course.
He's been described by people involved in the case as one of the worst types of killers. Someone with no discernible motive, nothing really to gain personally, who just seemed to want to know what murder felt like. Some sources involved used the term pure evil to describe his actions.
Chilling. So, this deep dive has taken us through a truly disturbing case. A planned random act of extreme violence and an investigation that, well, at first seemed almost impossible because there was no DNA
Right.
evidence.
Real dead end initially.
But it was ultimately solved through incredibly meticulous CCTV work, that digital forensic trail revealing his chilling online research, the crucial testimony of that single sharp-eyed witness,
Big Criddle. Yeah.
and the killer's own premeditated actions, and even his words in a classroom, all leading directly to his capture and conviction.
Examining all the sources really revealed not just the horror of the crime itself, but the evolution of investigative ingenuity required to solve it these days,
Yeah.
and just the chilling depth of the killer's twisted, deliberate planning.
It really shows you, doesn't it, that even when someone tries their absolute best to disappear without a trace, the digital breadcrumbs we all leave behind, the visible actions we take, the things we buy, even the questions we ask, can ultimately combine to reveal the truth.
Indeed. The whole concept of leaving no trace is fundamentally different now than it used to be. Almost impossible, maybe.
So, maybe a final thought to consider. In this increasingly surveilled world we live in, combined with the vast and ever-growing digital footprints we all create, is the traditional idea of a perfect crime. Less about leaving nothing behind, and more about the criminal simply misunderstanding the many new and unexpected ways they do inevitably leave traces. What can we truly learn about intent, consequence, and the very nature of evidence from a case like this?